So there's this wild story floating around about Trump completely losing his cool over something Tom Hanks said.
If more folks went to church, we wouldn't be in this mess we're in now.
Not a lengthy speech, not some prepared statement, just one simple phrase that apparently hit a nerve so raw that Trump went into full meltdown mode.
I've never said I'm a perfect person, nor pretended to be someone that I'm not. I've said and done things I regret.
It's almost like watching a psychological thriller unfold in real time, with America's most beloved actor somehow managing to trigger America's most volatile former president without even trying. What makes this particularly interesting isn't just what was said, but who said it. Tom Hanks isn't some partisan political commentator or rival that Trump can easily dismiss. We're talking about the man who made us emotionally attached to a volleyball named Wilson, who turned "life is like a box of chocolates" into one of the most quoted movie lines ever, and who basically functions as America's dad. His entire career has been built on being universally likable and steering clear of controversy. So when Hanks casually mentioned that he wasn't sure Trump took his oath seriously to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States, it wasn't the harshness of the critique, but the source that seemed to wound Trump so deeply. It's like getting scolded by Mr. Rogers, it just hits different. Trump's reaction followed his classic pattern of escalation. First came the denial phase, acting like he hadn't heard it, like it didn't matter, like he was too important to care. But within minutes, his digital rage machine was firing on all cylinders. His social media exploded with the usual suspects: accusations, typos, and seemingly random attacks on Hollywood. The "I never liked him anyway" defense came out in full force, followed quickly by attempts to rewrite history, suggesting that Tom Hanks was never actually that good an actor and his movies were overrated. The beauty of this whole situation is that Hanks doesn't even need to engage. This isn't a battle, it's a one-sided meltdown. Hanks makes a casual observation and Trump responds as if someone just declared that ketchup isn't a suitable condiment for well-done steak. He's spinning like a cheap tie caught in a ceiling fan, triggered by a single phrase and a slight nose twitch. What's most revealing is how Trump, who constantly portrays himself as the toughest, sharpest, greatest at everything, completely falls apart at the slightest criticism. For most people, a comment from Tom Hanks wouldn't even register as a blip on their ego radar. But for Trump, it's an existential crisis. Suddenly, the actor he probably secretly admires is part of a vast Hollywood conspiracy against him, the same Hollywood he desperately wanted to be accepted by before they all realized a cameo would hurt box office numbers. The internet, predictably, is having a field day. Social media is ablaze with memes, edits, and videos showing Trump losing a debate to Wilson the volleyball. People are dissecting every syllable of Hanks' statement like it's a lost page from the Constitution. It's becoming a masterclass in how effectively Trump can be thrown off balance by someone he can't intimidate, pay off, or outshout. Meanwhile, Tom Hanks is likely just living his best life, completely unbothered by the chaos he inadvertently created. He dropped one simple observation, watched the ensuing mayhem, and returned to being universally beloved. He demonstrated so effortlessly that what Trump fears most isn't losing money, power, or even legal battles, it's being ridiculed. And as the all-cap social media tirades continue, that fear becomes increasingly evident. Trump's desperate counterattacks only confirm what he's trying to deny. His caps lock meltdowns, his complaints about Hollywood elites, the same circles he once begged to be included in, and his attempts to rewrite reality are all part of a familiar pattern. The more he protests, the more obvious it becomes that Hanks's words found the one tiny crack in his supposedly impenetrable ego and lodged there like a splinter he can't ignore. What's funniest about this whole situation is how desperately Trump tries to control the narrative. When Tom Hanks gets under his skin, suddenly all of Hollywood becomes public enemy number one, as if he wasn't once begging to be included in those social circles before they collectively decided that even a brief cameo would damage their box office numbers. The cognitive dissonance is almost artistic in its execution. In a quintessential Trump move, he tries to clap back, but inadvertently confirms exactly what he was attempting to deny. His social media becomes a showcase of the most excessive use of caps lock in internet history, peppered with complaints about Hollywood elites, the same folks he once desperately tried to rub shoulders with. There are actual photos of him attending glamorous industry events, desperately seeking validation from the very crowd he now claims to despise. This is the same person who once insisted he had the largest inauguration crowd ever, despite photographic evidence proving otherwise. The same man who frames every failure as actually his greatest triumph, every defeat as a victory in disguise, and every criminal prosecution as some kind of political badge of honor. His entire worldview operates on this bizarre principle: reality is whatever he says it is, facts be damned. What truly drives him berserk isn't just criticism, it's the fact that Tom Hanks doesn't need to engage further. Hanks isn't frantically posting on social media, rushing to the nearest camera, or trying to repair any damage. He's probably sipping tea somewhere, reviewing scripts for his next award-worthy performance, or narrating another documentary about American history. Meanwhile, Trump remains red-faced and convinced that if he shouts loudly enough, people will forget he was completely demolished by a man whose worst offense was yelling at a volleyball in a movie. The internet, naturally, pounced on this vulnerability like a pack of hungry wolves spotting a steak in a red tie. Within minutes, timelines were flooded with savage memes. Mock movie posters appeared everywhere: Saving Private Tantrum, Trump's Escape from Reality, and the instant classic No Country for Old Grifters. Trump's face was expertly photoshopped onto a sunburned, bearded castaway holding a Wilson volleyball with ego scrawled across it. Every social platform became a roasting ground. Even LinkedIn professionals joined the fray alongside Twitter and Instagram users. One particularly brutal tweet read, "Tom Hanks defeated Trump with less effort than it takes him to open a box of chocolates." Another shared approval rating side by side with the caption, "One of these men is America's dad, the other is America's strange uncle who ruins Thanksgiving." And Trump, true to form, couldn't ignore it. He had to respond, doubling down with an unhinged tirade full of typos, unnecessary quotation marks, and defensive posturing that only proved he'd seen the memes and understood that the more he protested, the more the internet feasted. The cycle of outrage and mockery became self-sustaining, with each new post from Trump inspiring another wave of creative ridicule. While this drama plays out on social media, there's a bigger story unfolding on the global stage. Trump's trade war strategy has apparently backfired spectacularly, with major automotive companies like Toyota, Nissan, and Volkswagen pivoting away from the US toward China. Despite imposing tariffs of up to 145% on Chinese imports, these manufacturing giants are doubling down on their investments in the Chinese market rather than being strong-armed into choosing America. Toyota has allocated $2 billion, 0 cents, for a Shanghai factory focused on Lexus electric vehicles and EV batteries, along with a $236 million, 0 cents, hydrogen fuel cell joint venture in Nissan, after seeing their Chinese sales plummet to less than half their 2020 figures, is now investing $1, 0 cents. $4 billion to reverse this decline. Volkswagen is sinking $2, 0 cents. $68 billion into an innovation hub in Hefei. Even Tesla is expanding its Shanghai Gigafactory with a $1, 0 cents, $76 billion energy storage facility. The irony is striking. While Trump is busy having a public meltdown over Tom Hanks' measured criticism, his signature economic policies appear to be strengthening China's position as a global manufacturing leader rather than bringing jobs back to American shore. The very tariffs intended to pressure companies into choosing the US over Beijing have instead pushed them further into China's embrace, attracted by its EV incentives, carbon neutrality goals, and a supply chain ecosystem that enables faster time-to-market induced engagement. Industry analysts are now arguing that Trump's tariff-driven policies fundamentally misunderstood global manufacturing dynamics. While he claimed these measures would force companies to choose America, Japan's automotive giants clearly see China's manufacturing environment as offering far greater advantages. Beijing's subsidies, comprehensive logistics networks, and regional dominance create an ecosystem that American policies simply can't match. Toyota's massive Shanghai investment and Nissan's aggressive EV strategy highlight how manufacturing in China provides both immediate market access and export potential to emerging markets across Africa, Latin America, and Southeast Asia. Meanwhile, the American manufacturing landscape struggles with high wages, regulatory uncertainty, and the unpredictability of tariff policies, all factors that actively discourage investment and leave American supply chains increasingly marginalized. Despite Trump's threats of diplomatic pressure, there appears to be no practical mechanism to halt this trend. Japan's auto industry has made a strategic shift toward an export from China model, effectively bypassing American production entirely. Other global firms like Siemens, with its $2, 0 cents, $6 billion Jiangsu Innovation Center, and BASF's $500 million 0 cents Puang plant upgrade, further demonstrate multinational corporations' confidence in China's market permanence. Critics are now questioning whether the trade war accomplished anything beyond accelerating China's rise as a global manufacturing powerhouse. Toyota's $2 billion zero-cents investment, Nissan's ambitious EV rollout, and Volkswagen's innovation hub in Hefei all suggest that international manufacturers view China's advantages as far outweighing any potential benefits from Trump's policies. While American suppliers face increasing fragmentation, China's combination of incentives, logistics, and its massive $4 billion consumer market make it an irresistible long-term bet for global companies. The trade war's legacy appears increasingly stark. Tariffs intended to pressure China have instead eroded American influence, with multinational firms prioritizing Beijing's scale and subsidies over temporary U.S. pressures. As Japanese automotive giants and German industrial conglomerates strengthen their positions in China, America risks losing its role in defining global manufacturing trends, with supply chains increasingly centering on Shanghai and Beijing's strategic industrial policies. This automotive sector exodus raises fundamental questions. Did Trump's tariffs truly protect American interests, or have they inadvertently handed China a major strategic victory? The evidence increasingly suggests the latter, as foreign direct investment continues flowing into China's EV ecosystem, while U.S. manufacturing policies remain mired in uncertainty. Even as Trump claims to stand up to actions in the automotive industry that are not in our national interest, there's no effective strategy to counter Japan's long-term plans for leveraging China's state support and market demand. The situation underscores a broader reality about global business. Multinational firms will always prioritize profitability and market access over political rhetoric. As China's influence grows, America's manufacturing sector increasingly faces the consequences of trade policies that may have been more performative than strategic. The irony is that while Trump was busy crafting defensive tweets about a mild critique from a beloved actor, his signature economic policies were quietly reshaping global manufacturing in ways directly counter to his stated America First objectives. This disconnect between rhetoric and reality mirrors the same cognitive dissonance seen in Trump's reaction to Tom Hanks. Just as he cannot accept that America's favorite actor might reasonably criticize him, he seems equally unable to acknowledge that his trade policies might be having effects opposite to their intended purpose. In both cases, the response is the same: deny reality, attack the messenger, and double down on the original position regardless of evidence. What's particularly telling about both situations is how they reveal Trump's fundamental approach to challenges. Whether it's a respected actor questioning his commitment to constitutional principles, or global manufacturers rejecting his economic worldview, the reaction follows the same playbook: deny, deflect, and attempt to redefine success on his own terms. Just as he's trying to convince his supporters that Tom Hanks was never really that significant or talented, he's simultaneously attempting to frame the automotive industry's pivot to China as somehow unrelated to his trade policy. This pattern of behavior, the inability to accept criticism or acknowledge policy failures, provides valuable insight into Trump's leadership style. It's an approach where perception management takes precedence over problem solving, where winning the narrative battle is prioritized over addressing fundamental challenges. While Tom Hanks can simply drop one phrase and walk away from the ensuing chaos, America's manufacturing workers don't have that luxury. They're left